What I want to do now is a step-by-step simulation, and so you can see how the diagram acts. Hello guys, my name is Cesar. I am a Machinations diagram architect, and today we're gonna be doing a video about in-game monetization for a mobile game. The mobile game I have chosen is called Sonic Dash. It's an endless runner type of game, and we will be focusing on how the application generates revenue through in-app purchases and ads. And I'm not gonna be focusing on the gameplay. So there are some things I want to say before starting. First off, it's the thing that I just mentioned. So I won't be focusing at all on gameplay. Gameplay will be like start, run, end, run, generate a score. So it's gonna be like 3 nodes. I'm gonna be focusing on how the purchases you make or the ads you watch influence your game, how they give you bonuses or whatnot, and how they generate revenue. Although the revenue generation will be kind of not very accurate. It's just gonna be according to my own standards, let's say. So an ad, as you know, generates revenue according to a number of different parameters, and instead of trying to satisfy each parameter or calculating exactly, I'll just generate $1 for each ad. So that's going to be one rule that I will apply to the diagram. Each ad will generate $1, and in-app purchases will generate according to their prices. I think that's about all I have to mention about this. So yeah, we can actually get into it. I've already started and named the diagram to the game. I'm not going to show you any gameplay of the game, but let me do a quick rundown on how it's supposed to work. So you have so the game is an endless runner. Basically you start, and after starting you have to survive as much as you can while running. It's sort of a temple run kind of game. You can collect some rings, you can encounter obstacles and try to avoid them. Hitting an obstacle loses you some rings. If you run out of rings, it's game over. There are some revives implemented, and in the end, when the run is over, your score is calculated. You gain rewards based on your score. And there are some other menu aspects like housing animals you saved and stuff like that, but we're not gonna be focusing on that. So there are, as I said earlier, there are 2 main ways you can gain advantages, so to speak. One is by watching ads, and each ad you watch gives you a certain benefit. And another one is through in-app purchases, buying premium currency, which you can also receive by playing the game, but it's hard to obtain by playing the game. It's quite a rare and valuable resource, and you can get quite a lot more by making purchases. So we're going to be focusing on that. I'm going to start by making the core gameplay loop because as I said, it's going to be pretty short. We're going to have a pool. That's new run. I'm not going to want it to trigger every step. I'm just going to want to trigger it at start. This pool will signify that our run is still going on. I'm going to make a run active pool and a dead pool because we have revive mechanics, continue mechanics, so it's possible for you to lose and then just select revive and your run is active again. So I want these 2 pools to be connected to each other as there are different states of the game. And we're going to use this gate to facilitate the return into the run active pool. Those pools will be automated because I don't need the resource to stay there. I want it to transfer as soon as possible. So right now, if I were to play, resource would be generated and they would infinitely give each other this resource. So this is a gate here will act as a revive. So how does revive work? Let's start with that. Revive, for the first revive that you get, you need to spend, you can watch an ad and you get revived. For the next ones, you need to pay 2 of the hard currency of the game, which is called red star rings. There are 2 kinds of currencies, rings and red star rings. The rings are the soft currency, which you can use to buy a different bunch of stuff, and the red star rings are used for boosts or revives or other types of bonuses. So the first one, the first revive, as I said, is through the ad, and because I attempt to make this diagram automated, normally if you'd want to simulate this accurately as you would play the game, you'd make those nodes interactive and you trigger them whenever you feel like it. I mean, do I want to revive now? Okay, so let's trigger the node. But as I want to make it automated, I'll have to base my assumptions on chances. So what are the chances that the player will watch an ad for a revive? And I believe that I've played the game a bit to familiarize with it, and really didn't bother me that much to watch one ad for a chance to double or triple my score if should the run continue. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place the revive as a 100% chance. So the first revive, I'm gonna say that the players will watch that ad for that revive. So first of all, let's make a pool about here, maybe, I don't know, and this is gonna be the revenue. All of that cash is gonna go in this pool, and we're gonna see in the end how this one evolves. So this is gonna be our revive. I'm using this because I want to trigger a source. Hold on. Okay. I want to signal that the add revive has been used, so it's not a case doesn't happen where every revive that you use will be considered as an add revive. In this case, I only want the first revive to be through the use of adds, and the next ones to be through the use of red star rings. So this is going to be add watched or something, or add revive used. So this one's going to signal us if the revive was used or not. Obviously we're going to drain this at the end of every run, but that's a bit longer from now. So this one's going to give us revenue. So as I said in the intro of the video, I'm just going to not complicate too much on this aspect, and each ad will generate $1 for us. Of course, those numbers you can adjust according to your own needs and estimations. So the ad watched, the ad revive, we're gonna use this pool to disable this connection, because I'm gonna use this gate, and I'm gonna explain it in a bit. Let's keep it straight and just check something like this maybe. By the way, a small preview about, it's gonna be pretty crowded in here with arrows, so I'm gonna reduce their thickness at least for the stick connections. So this one, it's gonna be a check. We're gonna allow that one to be active only while the revive is equal to 0, while we have no resources here. So there are now it's time to implement the revive using red star currency. So we're gonna have a red star ring pool. Let me see. I actually laid this diagram before, and I want to check the layout because it's gonna get real messy if I don't and I don't want to spend too much time arranging this. But it's gonna be messy anyway. So this one's gonna be the red star rings, the premium currency of the game, which we're gonna use for reviving. So again here, because it's automated, we will have to make our own assumption. So how likely is the player to trigger a red star ring? And I didn't want to complicate too much with some formula based on, hey, does he have a good score? Is it worth it? Did he die in the first 30 seconds or whatever? Because these types of formulas require me to make a more complex gameplay loop, which I didn't, because it's really basic. So I'm just gonna give it a 50-50. 50% he revives, 50% he doesn't. And if he does revive, I'm gonna use this gate here. I'm gonna tell you why I'm using that gate in just a second. And send the resource back to the run active pool. That's a 50% chance here. And we're gonna create maybe final score pool or run over or whatever. Final score. And this one goes in here with the other 50% chance. Okay, but this isn't quite. Let me just, I need this register, this converter, excuse me, because we want to generate the score. So in the final score here, I'm attempting to generate the score. I'm going to be sending that resource which acts as the player, let's say, and turn it into a final score. I don't know, I mean, from the runs that I've made, they can differ pretty much because you can die early or not. Let's say you get like 500, between 200 and 500 without boosts or anything. So the final score here is actually, you get, when a run ends, you get two things: a score, which is tracked in a leaderboard and gives you certain achievements and stuff, and some rings associated with it. So better scores give better rings. The ring is as I said, is the soft currency of the game, which I'm going to be placing here. Name it rings. And the final score, let me see how I made it here. Sorry about that. It generates it through a source. So this is gonna add our rings, but we're gonna need this one to be modified by a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna leave it as 0, and we're gonna modify through a register, because there are certain parameters that influence the way you gain rings. So we have the final score here. Let me explain this gate stuff. So because this gate is deterministic, it's gonna push the resource that I send in the order that I created those connections. So because I created this one first, it will always go through here first, then the source will trigger because of this gate. The add revive will be 1, this one will be disabled, and all future resources will go through this connection here, which is which can be either 50-50 into one of those. So let me show you. So the first revive is always used, and then he didn't want to watch oh, there we go. See, we see a mistake here. It was triggered again here. So you're gonna need to condition this source so it doesn't get triggered every time it passes through this gate. It only gets triggered once. So we're gonna make something like this. And condition it equal to 0. Maybe reduce its thickness. Okay, so now this one will only trigger once. There we go. And again, he didn't revive. The app got $1 for that. So let's also handle the red star ring revive part. So this pool will have some resources should the player choose to buy them. I'm gonna influence that part in a bit. So the red star rings, when reviving, you need 2 for each revive. Each revive requires 2 red star rings. So this drain is gonna act as a sink here, where the rings are used. And we are using this gate here to trigger this drain here. That's specifically the reason we built it, because every time a resource passes through here, it's obvious that it was a red star revive. So we can use this to trigger the drain to compensate for the revive with the according red star rings. So let's see now. I'm sorry, we have no resources here. Let's say we have a lot of them. Okay. Well, let's hope for a revive. Unlucky. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna modify the chances of it if this one doesn't go through. Okay, so it went through. There we go. We used to. Okay, he revived again, and as you can see, we drain 2 of those resources every time he revives. We drain a couple of them. Okay. So red star rings will start at 0 actually. So we're gonna generate them through purchasing. There's as I said, you can obtain them in game by certain achievements and milestones, but since we're not focusing on the gameplay too much, the only way I'm gonna have you gain those resources in this diagram will be through purchase, and there are a couple of bundles here that you can buy in order to get those red stars, but I'm only gonna implement 2 of them, because there's no point of implementing like 7 of those purchase bundles, since they're about the same thing diagram wise. I'm just gonna implement the cheapest 2 ones because I'm a cheap bastard, and those 2 bundles that are the cheapest are actually 30 rings. So let's name the sources accordingly. Purchase 30 rings. Purchase, how much was it? 105. Purchase 105 rings. There's a G here. Okay. So those 2 sources, of course, as I said, if it were an interactive diagram, you'd probably make them interactive and purchase whenever you want, as I do want to make it automated in this case and trigger them automatically. We're gonna have to implement some sort of chance-based purchase, and because we're doing that and we want multiple resources here, so we can't you know, usually if you want to generate a resource, you'd put a chance on this connection here, but since we want to generate more, we're gonna be generating 30 from here and 105 from here. That means that we're gonna have to use a random gate to trigger them. So I'm gonna be making a gate here, random, make it automated so that it runs each step, and give them, sorry about that, give them small chances of purchase. Let's say 1% here, because as I said, we are cheap, and 5% maybe. Again, those chances you adjust to your own needs. You can manipulate it so maybe you want during the 30th step he buys 30 rings. Maybe after 20 runs he buys 105 rings or something. I mean, you can manipulate these as however you want. In my case, I choose to just randomly trigger them with very small chances because, let's be fair, not a lot of people buy those regularly. So this is the way you will be gaining red star rings, and this is not the only use for red star rings, but I think I'll be covering that in a bit. Or we could cover it now, I guess. Let's cover it now since we're here. It's easy to get sidetracked. So red star rings can also be used to purchase boosters. Boosters, I think there are 5 or 6 types. I think there were 5. They're not really important. You can have 3 of them active at the same time during a run. So you buy a booster, it's active for your next run, and it gives you various bonuses, either to your final score, the score you gain by defeating enemies, the score you gain by collecting rings, but generally the rule is that it gives you a bonus to your score in some way or form, and you need to purchase those using red star rings. And the boost isn't expensive, it's only 3 of those rings, but as it only lasts for 1 run, you can tell that buying one every run is gonna quickly drain your pool. But should we purchase rings? I will assume that since the player doesn't really have what to use it for, I mean, you can revive, and revive will only attempt with a 50% chance. I'm gonna assume that he's gonna use those rings for boosters, because they really do give a real oomph to your score, so you might want to use them. So we're gonna be having boosters, since we have 3 of them tops. Let me see, please, here. I'm gonna name this one number of boosters. Plural, okay. This one will track the number of boosters that we currently have active for our run. And because normally you do some... What just happened? Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. I'll investigate that one later. Let's not get sidetracked. So normally you do something like this. 3-star rings will turn into 1 booster. That's fine, but it's not actually fine, because should you do it this way, if you do have red star rings, those rings, sorry, let me make these needing to pull all, because you'd have to pull 3 of them. So should you have it like this, when a run begins, you'd be buying boosters 1 by 1, and maybe you start the run with 3 boosters, and you want the number of boosters to be 3 by the time you end the run, but in the rhythm that you buy them, 1 per step, maybe the run, as the game is oversimplified like I did it here, will be over by then, and those boosters won't actually be used as an addition to your score. So you're gonna want to be making a converter for each and every one of them. It's only 3 of them, so it's not such a tragedy, but it helps you buy all of them at the same time, which is pretty important. There's not a lot of things to add here, just 2 more converters, because the source pool and the output pool are the same, and the connections have the same labels, so that's not a problem. So with these 3 you buy boosters. Should you have, let's say, 4 rings in here, only this one will pull, you'll have 1 booster. Should you have 7 rings, only those 2 will pull. I think you get the idea here. As you see, I didn't make them automated, because I don't want them to be pulling during an unnecessary time, maybe when the resource is here, and then they pull, and those boosters are kind of wasted, because in the moment you reach the final score, I'm going to implement a drain here that will drain all of those things like boosters, add revived, used, and stuff. So you don't want to waste them. So that's why I didn't make them automated. Instead, they're going to be triggered every time a new run starts. So that means we're going to be having these connections here, which are intersecting, unfortunately, but God help me if I see a better way of organizing these. Maybe you can, but my patience has long left me. So we're going to be having these three state connections here, each of them triggering the converter. So when a new run starts, you get your number of boosters. So while this resource is being transferred to run active, this pool will be getting the necessary number of boosters. So every run will have the required number of boosters that you need. I'm thinking now if I should implement the drain. I think we can implement it and add. Yeah, we can implement it. We're gonna be adding some more stuff to it, I think, but that's fine. We're also gonna be using another gate here to trigger from the final score to the drain, something like this. Alright, I'm gonna show you why we use this gate in a bit when we actually need it. So we're gonna, with this drain, sorry about that, with this drain we're gonna reset all of the parameters that are influencing a single run, such as add, revived, used, or number of boosters. We can leave this as 1 because it doesn't matter, but just for safety I'm gonna label it all. This one as well, gonna label it all because we want a full drain on those pools. This one drains the final score. This one will be all because we want to drain all the score that we get here. This one can be 1 because all of them will be transferred through the gate. So this is another thing here about the rings. Let's handle the ring part now. How do you get them? So you can actually, there's an offer in the shop that lets you watch an ad indefinitely. I mean, it never expires. You can watch an ad, and the ad gives you 100 rings, and you can do it for any number of times. So you can watch 7 ads for 700 rings. Of course, that's rough, but it really depends on one's patience and how much you need 100 rings. It might be easier to just go and play a quick run, die fast, and you'll get the same amount of rings. So I'm not gonna insist too much on this. I'm gonna give it a chance because maybe you want to watch, maybe you need 100 and you can play for some reason and you just leave an ad while you're doing something else, which is okay. I'm gonna give it again, we're gonna be triggering it like here because we need more resources being transferred here, so we can put a percentage on this connection. So we'll be needing another node to trigger this source. We're gonna make it automated, and we're gonna give it a 10%, 5, 10. Let's make it 10. Doesn't really matter. 10% chance. And there's another offer in the shop, which is quite an important one actually. This one, maybe, I don't know, if I were a player and if I were to spend money on this game, this is probably the most likely thing I'd spend money on, which is an offer that gives you permanent double rings. So whatever ring income you get from your runs, you double them, which is actually quite profitable, as it's a one-time purchase that lasts forever. So it's a modifier that forever gives you double rings obtained. Give it to 5%, and this one's gonna act like some kind of, just give me a second, double ring active, like a binary check, is it active or not. So just send one resource here, and because of that we can purchase this one multiple times. As only one purchase is available, we're going to condition it by the very pool it goes into, with unequal to 0, so we can only purchase it once. Okay, so if you have double ring active, all of your ring acquisition from the final score will be doubled. Okay, let's transform this final score into rings. So we do have the final score here. This final score is not actually the score the player obtains, it's actually the rings the player obtains, because I didn't want to bother with the score, it's not very important. So we will have two things that influence it, the modifier for double rings and the final score. We're gonna adjust the thickness here real quick, A and B as the parameters, and it's gonna be something like, oh, another thing here, at the end of a run, I forgot to mention this, at the end of every run, once they calculate the amount of rings that you receive, you can watch an ad. There are a lot of ads in this game. You can watch an ad and receive double the amount of those rings. So I assume here, at least for me, while I played the game for a couple of hours, every time I finished a run, because I wanted as many rings as possible and to purchase different things and see how the game acts, I watched that ad every time. So I just assume that, you know, normally if you had a more complex gameplay loop, you would track things that such as score, I assume, and see, I mean, if he died in the first 5 seconds and he has a really bad score, I don't think he's gonna watch an ad to double like 10 rings or something. He's gonna probably be pissed and start another run. But and if he has a good run, he's probably won't want to double them, because you never know when you get a good run. But in this case, that complicates things. Again, it's about the gameplay loop and how complex it is. So I just in my diagram, the player always watches that ad to double his own rings. So there's gonna be some triggering going on here. First off, this pool is going to trigger this source here. The final score pool is going to trigger the source that I have yet to name. I will name double rings add. So when the game is over, the double rings add, which is the pool, the source that will actually give us the rings, but I'm not gonna. I can name it two things like ring generation and double rings add, so I'm just gonna leave it double rings add. So this one's gonna give us all of our rings that we need, and our income is gonna be generated. I don't wanna use this source to generate income. I'm gonna be using another source. I'm gonna be using the watch ad source from above. So this one's gonna trigger this source, which I actually forgot to draw these ones into, because they all give the application money. Let's name this one purchase double rings. Okay, so this one is gives $1. As I said, every ad in my case will give $1. this one, the purchase double rings one, gives it's a price of $5 for it, which is quite convenient, I assume. The purchase 30 rings is also $5, so it's gonna have them be at the same height. Okay, $5. And the purchase 105 rings is $12. Those are approximate prices I adjusted to from my currency, but they will have to do for this diagram. So $12 from here, 5, 1 from the ad. They also get 1 from this ad. So these are the way the game will be making money. As you'll see at the end, they make quite a lot of money in my simulation here. So we have the rings, the watch ad. So we need the formula here in order to determine the amount of rings the player will receive. So we're going to be doing something like this. Since he did watch the ad, the amount will double. The amount will be the final score, because that's the one that will be doubled. And it will be doubled again if he has the boost active, the double ring active. What does that mean? We're not going to multiply it by A, because doing that will make the result 0 if the boost isn't active, isn't purchased. That's why we're going to multiply it by A plus 1, so it doesn't change if we don't have that modifier, and it doubles if we do have the modifier. So it's a pretty simple formula which we're going to be using to calculate our score, and this register will influence the resource connection that generates rings. This is the way we generate score. I also want to touch another thing now. The drain here. So here's the thing. Sorry for babbling. Here's the thing. Normally, when I first created the diagram, and I had fewer elements than I have here right now. Let me zoom out for a bit. Normally, when I created it, I used the drain in order to trigger this source for a new run. So whenever the drain would empty the final score pool, a new run would start. So we have an endless cycles of runs. But here's the thing that I noticed, is that if this drain doesn't receive input from all of the pools that he drains from, I don't think it triggers the node. Because in my simulations, of course, with these chances, there are a lot of first runs that don't have boosters, and this drain has nothing to drain from the number of boosters pool, so it doesn't trigger the new run, and all of the cycle is lost. That's why I placed this gate here, and I usually advise you to use gates in such manners. If there's ever an instance where you want to trigger a node through an end node like this, and that end node for some reason does not trigger in the way you want it to, you can just place a gate between the output node and the input node. It won't influence your result in any way because it just acts as an intermediate, and you can use that gate to trigger whatever you need, which is what I did in this case, because this gate here triggers the new run source. I think something like this is getting crowded, but it will have to do. So every time a run ends, a new run starts, and the cycle is renewed. Let me see here what I'm missing, because there's a lot of stuff here. I'm missing. Yeah, this is a mistake on my part. I'm gonna handle the revive part just a bit later, because this revive is in need of some more things. So this revive is actually gonna influence our score, because normally when you revive, you actually get to play the game a bit more, so you gain more score. So with each revive, your score should increase. and the boosters will also increase our score. So again, having more active boosters will give a boost to our score. But I'm gonna handle this part a bit later, because first I wanna talk about the rings here and the upgrades which you use them for. Those upgrades should probably also influence your final score. Maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. I'm gonna see if I make them influence. So here's the thing. Using rings you can buy upgrades to your character. There are multiple characters. I'm not gonna be implementing the character purchase part and how they actually influence, because each character has their strengths and weaknesses. It's not like there's one that's best. Each of them apply to different playstyles, and all of them have 5 let's say traits, the same traits that you can upgrade. Those are, let me see, dash boost, ×2 multiplier, magnet, shield, and head start, which are actually boosts that you get in game, and you can make those items last longer or have a better effect by upgrading them. So all of these 5s we're going to be using rings to upgrade them, and we're going to be using it by the means of converters, because the currency they use is going to increase every time. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, this is better. Okay, this is better. So since we won't be using rings for anything else in this diagram, we're just gonna be using it for those upgrades. I'm gonna make the converters automatic, because the converters automatic, because should they have enough resources to pool, they should immediately upgrade. You shouldn't wait on it, because it's better to upgrade earlier. It's a better investment to get better results, and it's a positive feedback loop. I'm trying to place this on the same height as the pool, and it's really sad. Okay. This is where we calculate the upgrade. So we're going to name this dash boost. This will be the first upgrade. It's going to start at level 0. The upgrade started at level 0, not at level 1. And this is where we calculate the upgrade cost. So the thing is, it starts at 100, then it goes to 200, 400, 800, 1600. So you would assume that it's just the powers of 2, exponentials of 2. But after 1600 it goes to 2500, and then 1400, 4000, and so on. So it's not quite like that. But I don't want to complicate too much with this formula, because it's not really the essence of this diagram. So I'm just going to leave it as a power of 2. So we're going to have 100 times power 2a. So it's 2 raised to the power of a times 100. So this means that the first upgrade is going to be 100, then 200, 400, and so on. We're going to use this upgrade cost here, the register, to influence this label, because this is the one that actually drains the resources and signifies the cost. Let me leave it straight. Try to adjust it a bit. So now what I did here, I'm gonna have to do for 4 more pulls, because I want to make all the upgrades here. I'm gonna cut this because I don't want to torture you with me watching me place pulls and the registers, and I'm gonna be back after finishing this part. Alright, so we are back. I dragged all of those annoying arrows. So as you see, where we had the dash boost earlier, we've made 4 similar upgrades, which I didn't name actually, so I'm gonna need to name them now. This one's called magnet. This one, just a second, because label handling here is quite delicate. You need surgeon hands. Shield. And the last one, head start. I've also, so as you see, there's nothing different here than what I've already added. You get them, you calculate your upgrade costs, which in turn influences the number of rings that you need to further upgrade them. So no, I didn't do anything except this. I also added this register because those upgrades should influence your score. You should be getting better scores with better upgrades. They don't influence it a whole lot though, as much as either the boosters or the revives. So I just added all of them and multiplied them by 20. So let's say each upgrade will give you a bonus score of 20, a bonus rings obtained by 20. We're gonna have to wrap this all in a modifier for the score, which we're actually gonna be doing now. But first, in order for a run to be continuous, as in once you end it another one starts, we have to trigger this drain at some point, and the trigger will be by the source that gives the rings. So we have the final score. Once the resources reach the final score, the source is triggered, which gives us the rings. After the source is triggered with the rings, we no longer need the final score, so the source triggers this drain, and the drain resets all of those parameters that we need for our new run. And once this, because we need the resource to go through the gate, all of the resources to go through the gate in order to reach the drain. The gate is also triggered, and once the drain is satisfied, a new run begins. So it's a cyclical thing. Now I want to check a couple of more stuff and modify the score according to those factors. Modify the score and thoroughly implement the revive, because as it is here, it has a bit of it has some flaws. So first of all, we should be thinking like this: the more you revive, the better score you will get, because reviving obviously will give you a longer playtime and you can accumulate more rings. That means that we will be having a pool where we will track all of those times that we revived. So we're gonna name this pool, the pool, sorry, not the source, because the source doesn't need the name, times revived. This will be a pool that will be updated every time a new run starts. It will be drained, so we're gonna have to drag the times revive pool into the drain as well. Maybe on this side, and give it a label of all, so we make sure that it doesn't miss anything. So the thing is here that the add revive is always used. So we're always going to have a resource here. Because we're always going to have a resource here, at least one resource, I'm going to have it start with 1, which is the add revive. And further will be added, again, we're going to be using the gate that we implemented here to signal that a revive was triggered. That notification scared me, sorry. So we're gonna see that this gate will trigger the times revived through red rings revive. Now the thing is, because of how I implemented the red ring revive with a 50-50 chance, we actually have to disable this if we don't have enough red star rings, because it shouldn't be possible to revive without having the rings. So we have to actually condition this. I wanted to grab the 50%. Okay, we have to actually condition this connection here, and we're going to condition it by using the red star rings pool. We need more than 2 what do we have two? We have two we could revive. Let's make it bigger than one then, so it fully drains it. Adjust the thickness a bit. Not even gonna complicate and try to make it look pretty because I don't know where I could drag it actually. So I'm just gonna have them intersect all in a big mess here. The part of arranging diagrams is actual torture for me. It's the most annoying part, but it can be done with enough patience. Just don't have the patience in these videos. And another thing that I wanted to say is adjust those chances, because if I were to disable, let's say at the first run, there's a very high likelihood that we won't be purchasing any rings, so we won't be reviving with red star rings. That means that if I had left those two chances at 50%, after reviving through the ad and coming through here again, the connection here would be disabled, so there's only one possibility, this one, which would be a 50%. So there would be a 50% chance that we would actually get to the final score, and a 50% chance that the resource would be wasted and ending our cycle and ruining our whole diagram, our whole work. So we can actually adjust them to 100% because those rates normalize towards 100%. So by having two 100% rates, when both of them are active, they will both act as a 50% chance. When only one of them is active, it will act as a 100% chance, so the resource isn't wasted. So this will be our red ring revive here. What else did I want to do here? Because I feel like I wanted to do another thing. Ah yes, I wanted to influence this, and the time is revived. So how much score does the revive add? We're going to be using another register. So each revive, again, this is, you can't really estimate these kind of things because it really depends on the player. So I'm not gonna complicate too much with it. Let's say I'm gonna use this register actually as a way to calculate the entire added score. So we're gonna be sending a parameter from here, a parameter from boosters, because we're also gonna be using boosters at some point, hopefully, if we make purchases. I'm gonna send it as a B. Adjust the thickness because it burns my eyes. And we're gonna be also having the bonus from upgrades, which is already calculated here, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about it, just add C. So the added score, how much do we want to make it? So let's say that with a successful revive you would get, of course you can add randomness here, but it's not the point because it's about the principle. Let's say 100 points per revive. I don't want to waste too much time on this. Let's say 200 points per booster. Each booster will give you 200 extra points, and let's say that C is the bonus from upgrades, which is already calculated here. So this is the score you will be getting from your various modifiers, and this score should excuse me, should influence the number of resources you get into the final score. There we go. What I want to do now, because I think the construction is pretty much complete. So what I want to do is simulate it step by step. I'm going to link you the diagram here, so don't worry about it, and I'm going to have it a bit, I'm going to color it so it's easier to see. I'm not going to do it on video now because it will require a lot of time. What I want to do now is a step-by-step simulation, and so you can see how the diagram acts. Did I forget? I feel like I forgot something. Yeah, I did forget something. Here, the times revived one, because you always get the add revive. Each run should start with one resource in that pool, because it's always going to be at least one since you get the add revive. So how do you do this? Because of this drain, all resources are drained at the end of the run, so you have to manually add one resource, and you're going to be doing that by triggering this pool, the source using the gate, sorry, not the pool. Because when the drain signals that the run has ended, during the end of that run you can send one resource here and it will be there for the next run. So let's start a step-by-step simulation. We're going to be watching the source here. So the run is now active, nothing happened, nobody bought anything, sorry. We have a 30 ring purchase, which is of 105 ring purchase, a 1% from the second step. That's quite fortunate, we have 105 rings now, so the revive is available if we want it, but we're not going to be buying any boosters because the run has already started, and as we said, that source is the one that triggers them, so we're not going to buy them mid-run. So is the dead one, now I'm dead, and we have the add revive available, so we're going to use that. The add revive will trigger and we're going to have the add revive watched. We're going to go to the dead state again. The revenue increased by 1 because we watched that ad. And the add revive is used now, so we can't use it again. This path is sealed off, so it has to go this way now, as you see, towards either the ring revive or the death revive. I actually expected it for the ring revive to not be available here, but it's quite an unlikely run, this one. So let's see what it does. It doesn't revive, so it chose not to revive. It's the end of the run due to modifiers, which is the one revive we had, because that's the only modifiers. We didn't have boosters, we didn't have upgrades. We have a modifier of 100, so we have the 200 plus D300 modifier and another 100 added there to the final score. So that's 447. Because we do watch that ad, but we do not have the double rings purchased. As you can see, we only doubled the result here, so we're going to have 894 rings for our first run. We are triggering the source, we send the rings in there. We also watched an ad, as you saw, because you saw the resources going from here. The double rings that triggered this drain, we resetted the add revive, we resetted the number of boosters, we resetted the times revived, and because it passed through the gate, as you see, the blue ones, a new run is about to be triggered and the times revived will be increased by 1. We have 994 rings, so we're gonna have to spend them on upgrades. So check out the next step. As you see, a lot of stuff happened. A new run has started. We got times revived, we got one resource in here. We bought one upgrade of each. Unfortunately, we didn't upgrade, we can't, I didn't bother implementing a way in which you can upgrade more times at once. We only do it once, but we're gonna do it again this step before the run ends, so it's quite okay. We also bought boosters, so we spent 9 of our red star rings and bought 3 boosters. As you see, we are already multiplied here because we have upgrades which give us 100 bonus score. We have time a revive which gives us another 100, and we have 3 boosters which give us 600. So it's a total of 800 already added to our run. So let's see what happens. We should buy some upgrades again, the first 2 upgrades, because those 2 are available. As you see, we bought them. The bonus increases to 840. We are dead. We're going to use the add revive here. I think we bought something. I think we watched an ad, yeah. We got money again. The add revive is used. We are dead. This time we revived using rings. We are gonna be, as you see, what will be triggered next step. We're gonna drain 2 rings from here, and we're gonna add 1 to our revived pool. Dead again. Let's see if we revive. We revive again. We drain 2 more. We revived again, and now we are dead. And again, according to the bonuses, we had 1014 bonus. We had 200 So we had 1240 standard and we got 102,050. So our dice, our 300-sided dice, only gave us a result of 10, which is pretty unfortunate, but what can you do? So now we double this amount because we have double rings. We still didn't purchase the double rings here, so it's only a double because of the ad. Now we have a lot of rings. Again, we trigger the times revived and we upgrade accordingly. We upgrade again. As you can see, the cycle continues. We bought boosters. The game is making money. We are making rings. We are multiplying. As you can see, this is how it should run. I'm gonna increase the steps limit because it can be higher, and maybe add maybe the cache here so we can check it out. Let's do a quick run. Let's highlight it. Okay. So we made $200 exactly? No, we're having 130. Why does it show like that? Oh, that's the step. I'm sorry about that. It's 130, yeah. So we made 130, as you see, progressing through time. Should we make another quick run? It's about the same amount. Sorry about this issue. It's a known issue with graphics with graphs where you it will also always show the first run when you hover over them. We have 153. Let's just clear them for a new one. Go again. This time it's only 100. Yeah. So as you see, the diagram is pretty much complete. Of course, anything you want to add is fine by me, and I'm gonna be giving you the link to this diagram, and you can add to it as long as you want, create copies of it and play with it. It's gonna be colored, but you're gonna have to do something about the connections yourself because I can't go through the mental torture of handling them. I hope you understood how the process works. I hope you understood how ads influence and help your gameplay and your ring game, and how spending money on premium currency also helps you, gives you quite a boost. If you have any questions regarding this diagram, or there's something you didn't understood or something that you didn't like, please let us know on our public Slack or on our Discord channel. You can find the diagram link in the description below the video. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from it. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.